one. What? Hang on, one sec.
Too bad, it's already recording.
Okay.
We begin with an outtake.
Okay, one sec.
It's fine, I can edit it out.
Now it is recording. Now it is recording properly.
Hooray.
Hello. Welcome to another Toonkind FPS. My name is Inky, and today I am playing a game with my good friend.
It's me. I'm a good friend. That's nice. That's a nice thing to be said about me before starting the game. It's me. I'm Mad. I'm playing a character with a voice that will probably make your ears melt off the side of your face. I am so sorry. I really am. But this is what happens when I love a character so much. I must make a bootleg of them. So I have been trying. I have been watching many of the shorts that he was in because some angel on YouTube has been putting up like the really obscure ones that they made, and so yes, I have tried to do my research.
Yes. Oh, good. Awesome. Well, today I will be playing M1A, the little UFO, and so to start this one off, I think we need to build a little bit of a setting because this game takes place after the events of UFO sightings. So if you don't know what happened in that game, you might be a little lost here, I'm afraid.
I encourage you to listen to it. It was very good. It's a good game.
But I guess my question for you, Maud, is well, actually, my question for Whiplig is, you got a knock on your door at midnight one night.
Oh boy.
And once you got to the door, you opened it to see 3 toons, one pulling a wagon behind him, and inside that wagon was a broken down looking little UFO that highly resembled one of your old acquaintances, M1A, who is also there at your door and looking very tired and also very intensely at you. What did you do in response to this?
Well, after coming down the stairs in a slightly bear with a sore head fashion, he was like, alright, tripping over various things on his way because while Vidrik is a genius, like many geniuses, he's not very organised and there are things all over the place. But he's also a very practical person, and as soon as he sees this scene, he just opens the door and lets them all in and turns on the lights so that they don't fall over everything. I think he probably does a sort of double take because there's 2 of them now. Because M1A is a unique specimen and has never seen anything like it and is fascinated and was rather hoping to see this creation again. But there's another one and it's broken and that's sad. So they let them in. Absolutely.
Yes. Awesome. Well, yes, M1A has a companion who is currently in a box, surrounded by little bits and pieces, and has a big has like a few chunks missing from them as well. And they've been fast asleep this entire time, even whenever you're all chatting and talking and catching up on what's happened here. This little UFO does not seem to stir at all. And it's at some point during this meet that M1A actually kind of very sheepishly, like very quietly, starts to usher Marcel, you've learned, and Blink lightly towards the door.
I mean, it is very late. Yes.
It is very late, but I want you to roll insight on M1A.
Yeah, pretty sure I know. Let's see what this guy's insight is. Oh, it's a +4, like someone else I roll all the time.
It's
14,
good
that's
insight.
not
Oh,
great. I mean,
that's
Woodlick
not
is
great.
distractible. He's distractible. He's sort
Yeah,
of gleaning as much information as he can. Subtleties perhaps are a little
yeah,
beyond him. Also, it's late, my
yeah.
goodness. This duck likes to sleep.
It's very late. It's very late. M1A, yeah, it's late, and M1A is pushing them out mostly. To you, it seems like it's late. They should go. They should go back. Thank you, thank you. You've done all you can, etc. Um, but for the audience, M1A is looking very awkward while they do it,
Mm-hmm.
and they gently they say goodbye. Thank you for your assistance. Goodbye. And they close the door.
Goodbye, Sal, and Blink Lightly. Thank you for your cameo.
Thank you for your cameo, guys. Thank you.
Great voice acting. Love it. Great job. Oh, I am so sorry. There's someone at the door and I need to answer it because no one else is in. I will be right back.
Oh, gosh.
I'm so sorry.
No, all good. Go, go,
go. Someone told the postal service that I'm doing a game. That's so rude.
Happening. Well, so I don't know how to fill the air here. I should probably try and fill it. Real talk, I do not know how to fill the air. How's the gallery? How are you guys doing? Little commercial break. Okay,
Coming back.
Tired of. Oh, okay. Just trying to. I was about to try.
Sunday. There's supposed to be no post on Sundays. What's going on? Sorry, it was a very large box, so I did have to take it in.
Oh. Yeah.
Mystery box. Okay, I'm back. Things are happening. We have just ejected Cell and Blink from the building. Okay.
Yeah. They would be there if they could. But yeah, I actually did talk to the respective players earlier. They both were willing to stay there all night if needed. That M1A shoot them out.
Sometimes you gotta have some privacy.
Sometimes you gotta have some privacy, and yeah. Woodley, you see M1A kind of turn away from the door and look around the room a bit. And they come up to you, and they're in their compact UFO form. They're a flying saucer right now.
Yeah.
And they say, Woodley Professor, I require your assistance.
Ah, yes, well, I have deduced that.
And M1A kind of flinches a little bit and looks around, up, down, sideways, everywhere before looking back at you with Leg and saying, okay. And do you want to roll another insight?
Sure, I hope I do better this time.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yay.
That's a 15. Woodling, it's as if M1A is waiting for something to happen to them.
Oh, okay. He raises one of his beetly, bushy eyebrows, but doesn't say anything. But takes this as perhaps a cue or permission to actually start looking at the broken UFO, which he has desperately been trying to do it from a distance. But he really, really wants to start the project because this
Yeah,
could be.
yeah.
He doesn't know even if like this is a machine or an organism or some hybrid of the two or something else altogether, but it's not well. And Woodling is quite compassionate and would like to make it well again.
So M1A slowly hovers over to the little box, and I think I'll repost that art that I posted earlier. Hang on.
Yes, it's really good.
The little, yeah. And
I should have posted out of Woodling,
it's
but I can't
basically the same. I put it in the roll zone for now.
Oh, great, thanks.
The So basically it's a similar ordeal. You see this little UFO, and the best way to describe it is they're in their little UFO form. However, it's the best way to describe it is like a couple of pieces are missing from the pie.
Mm.
there's two sections of the UFO's disc that seem to have been cut away,
Mm.
and next to them, in their little box that aren't illustrated here, some are what you assume to be the missing pieces,
Mm.
except they look very dented and very wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you notice about this UFO is that it has a giant bumper sticker basically over its helmet
Mm.
on one side, and it's an old Acme MK bumper sticker that you feel like has been fished out of the trash as like a makeshift bandage. And it seems to have one little antenna
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty crooked looking,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's fast asleep.
Right. Well, this is very interesting. Let's see what have we got here then. I take it I have permission to have a look at this?
M1A looks visibly like looks visibly hesitant, but they stretch out and they do a little twirl, and suddenly they're in their winged mode,
Mm-hmm.
and they they go, careful,
Ah,
carefully.
very carefully.
They will not. They will not wake up.
Ah, coma. Very serious. Okay, well, how about we start off with the parts that are broken and not attached. Therefore, I will not be intruding on the casualty. And he picks up the pieces of the pie that you've described are separated from the main chassis and has a look at those. He does, I suppose, have the advantage of a live specimen which is intact hovering next to him.
Oh, absolutely. So what are you gonna do with those pieces?
Well, I think it's up to you what I roll, but he would like to basically inspect them and try to deduce whether they're salvageable, what he can recognize in this as a mechanism, because this is not Earth or whatever this planet is. This is technology. This is not Anquelian. So
Nope.
even though he has expertise in every single field in the entire world, he may have trouble with this.
Yes. Well, roll an investigation for me.
Okay, let's see. What's your investigation, Professor? It is 8 plus 5. And it should be. Okay. 23!
Oh, yeah.
Go,
That's
Professor.
23. Well, are you just looking at the outside for now?
Oh no, I mean the inside. Like the chassis, the
Okay,
metal
okay.
outside, he already knows what that's
Yeah,
supposed to look like.
yeah,
What
yeah,
kind of metal it is, maybe a whole different kettle of fish. But no, I meant the
yeah.
inside, definitely.
Well, okay, upon removing the top, the plating on top, the dented plating, you peer inside and you suspect that this was once the one of the arms
Hmm.
of this UFO. It has at the very what you think would have been right next to the helmet of the UFO.
Mm-hmm.
You do not recognize the circuitry. It, it looks like compute. It looks like a bit chip. It looks like
Oh,
computer chips,
yeah,
basically.
that would be very.
Kind of
Yeah, we've got
very,
movies
very,
in
very
Nyquil,
far
but
ahead.
don't know about that
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
but yeah, no. It looks like you ever had a have a like a see-through Game Boy? It kind of
Yes.
looks a
Yes.
little bit like that.
Yeah, I had one.
Um, However, oddly enough, when your gaze kind of goes down the arm,
Mm-hmm.
you realize that the tech kind of seems to shift more into wiring,
Mm.
and then, to your surprise, something resembling something antique, like clockworky.
Oh. Oh. Ooh, that's cool. And also, Ridley would definitely know about clockwork, so that's cool.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
artificer brain is sort of like jumping
So
around, like, oh my god, what is this? Ah!
and M1A is hovering nearby,
Mm-hmm.
and they are their eyes are very wide.
Mm.
Um, but if you you can try and roll one more insight on them because
Yeah,
hmm,
sure. I mean, I will say he's highly distracted right now. He's definitely looking at the thing rather
yeah,
than his little
oh
friend
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Oh,
oh
oh,
wow,
maybe he was about to ask
or maybe
M1A a question about it, so he does make eye contact. That makes sense.
so whenever you see M1A, they are staring hard at this mechanism, and you kind of realize that they're surprised, and
Mm.
it dawns on you that they have never seen this before.
Mm.
They did not know what was under the plating, and they look equal parts fascinated and a little creeped out.
Mm. Mm. Ah, yes, anatomy can be a bit of a shock. But don't worry, I have just as many strange things inside my arm. You see, in fact, if I have a look at this clockwork part here is not this quite like the bones of a wrist. This is most interesting, though I must say, I do not think I could rotate my hand 180 degrees. That would hurt me quite badly. But well, do you know anything about what this is at this end up here with the green and the lines? And he's pointing at the circuit board.
M1A kind of looks over at the circuit board and getting over their I guess creeped out their discomfort.
Hmm.
They stare at it and they look back at Woodley and say, "We I was not taught this.
Ah, this is
Our the
unfortunate.
great machine did not teach us of this.
Ah, now that is quite an
What is
interesting
this?"
statement. What is a great machine?
And M1A kind of like blinks and says, uh, "The great machine was is our commander. It gives us purpose and tells us what to do."
Ah, a boss. I
Mirrors.
understand. Well, I hope it was a nice boss. Anyway, this is most peculiar. I may need to, well, as you have demonstrated to me, going to ask for help when you do not know everything about a subject is the best course of action. would you be adverse to me asking someone who may know more about this topic than I?
And M1A kind of looks a bit looks a little bit nervous at that, but query, who else is coming? Who else would come? Is it a replacement?
Oh, no. I will stay here as well. Two brains are better than one, after all. And, much as I trust him, it may be best to keep someone to oversee. But he is entirely trustworthy. I have known him my entire life.
Or is he? And M1A is kind of just thinking to themselves about this, but they look really hesitant.
That's fair enough. He says, okay, all right, you take your time. I am going to further investigate on what I can help with. The clockwork, I think I might be able to help with, yeah, but I don't want to do anything that I don't know enough about, because you can cause more problems by doing things that you think you know about, but you don't really know about. So I will have a look at over here. Now this is very interesting. And he's just looking, he's not actually touching yet, but the dome with the little creature inside. And he says, would you mind if I compared spectrums?
M1A looks confused for a moment. And I'm going to have them roll history to see if they remember.
Yeah, that's fair enough. He's not being very transparent at the moment, it's fair.
Oh no. Let's see, what's your history, M1A? +2, that's not bad.
Hey.
So that's 11.
Yeah.
Query. Compare spectrums.
Well, do you remember the first time that I came in here with you and we did a DNA test?
And M1A kind of subconsciously raises their, looks at their hands. Because they remember how weird everything got for a few seconds there.
Yes, that was not terribly successful, but I wouldn't be doing any experiments today. No, I was just wondering if I could compare your signal with this signal to see if there is anything notable in the difference between the two.
M1A gives a nod. Yes. Affirmative.
Wonderful. Okay, I am going to take a tiny sample. And what he's actually doing is he gets out it's his wand, but for flavour it's actually a tuning fork.
Oh my gosh.
In fact, one could call it a sort of sonic screwdriver, but it's not really. It's just to do with sound. But he does use it like a screwdriver sometimes. It's got one of those things at the bottom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he hits it against the surface and holds it very gently against the dome. And this registers on his machine as basically the sound signal of this specimen. He doesn't really want to take a DNA sample if he can avoid it, because he doesn't know what he's dealing with. Yeah. But fortunately he already has the sonic signature of M1A, so he can at least compare those. I don't know what I would have to roll for that, or if you, the DM, knowing what's going on, would be able to interpret that.
Well, okay, so I guess it's quite similar to it's quite similar to what M1A's signature was, but it's less blocky and more kind of sine wavy.
Okay.
And the frequency is very low.
Okay. Yeah, he nods in a sort of quiet but grave understanding, because that's much less than he would have expected of any kind of tune. Ah, yes, this looks like it could be a problem, but it does confirm our suspicions that he is in a sort of coma, I suppose.
Query, coma.
Ah, coma. That is when you are asleep and you cannot wake up, but it is because there is something in your physical makeup or your brain that needs mending. So it is a sleep that your body does on purpose to protect you.
M1A kind of looks a little bit looks definitely distressed at this because that's not something you want to hear about your friend.
Yeah, it's not. But like, does not disguise the
no.
fact that this is not a good thing to have been put into. It's not great, but that's what it is.
No. Yeah. And they say, query, could if I had sought assistance sooner, would they be awake?
This is a question I cannot answer.
And M1A looks pretty distressed now.
Yeah.
Because their antennae are moving. And they go, you say two brains are better than one.
Yeah. I mean, it is a simple question of mathematics. If there are two of you, you have twice as much of the brains to think with and to solve problems. In fact, if we bring another person here, we will have three, because you have a very brain in there as well, I can see it.
And when they kind of they look sad, but you see them absently start tapping their head. I do not know if I have a brain.
Oh, I know that you have a brain, and I am the professor, so you must understand that I am an authority on such things.
And when a kind of I think they kind of see a little bit of humor in it, mm-hmm. and their antennae kind of wiggle a little bit. But they turn to their friend and say, "You will bring a third brain here?"
Ah, yes, and the brain is inside a very useful body as well.
And M1A kind of drifts over to their sleeping friend, and kind of puts their hands on the end of the box that they're in, and they say, "Reporting. There will be a third brain coming here. They are here to help."
I'm not even going to make you roll perception or anything. You can definitely see the professor remove his glasses, wipe a finger under one of his eyes, and then replace his glasses.
Oh!
Yeah.
They're here to help. So they have not been reported or recorded. Do not be afraid. Ooh. And they don't know if they don't know if this has gone through, but they've said it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And they float back a little bit.
Okay, that's fascinating. I and Woodlake are noting those statements away for future use potentially. And he salutes and says, "Query. May I ask a question?"
Sorry, what was that?
He was trying to say query, but it's really, really hard in his voice. Dang. See, I have a question, he says.
and when A turns him like surprised that he used the he used Query.
He was trying to be cool like the kids.
Trying to be cool. And they say, yes.
How long has your companion here been like this? And if at all possible, could you tell me how this happened?
M1A thinks for a little bit. They say 4,000, no, 300, no. And they think again and again. 8, 7 months.
That's quite a long coma to have been in. Okay, well, as soon as I can, I think I would like to get another expert onto the scene, because that is quite long enough to have been asleep.
M1A actually waves their hands. Wait. They have been injured for 7 months. They have been coma for 2 weeks.
I feel like I need to roll something to interpret what I'm hearing here, because I'm not getting all the information. What should I do? Just roll intelligence?
I can clarify. Roll intelligence.
I feel like it's a roll, because, yeah, like, you as the DM can explain, but, like, Woodlick is in a situation where he has to decipher what's going on. Yeah. Oh, 21! Alright, brainy duck. Jeez.
You realize that what M1A means is that they have been in this injured state for about 7 months. However, they seem to have gone comatose about 2 weeks ago.
Ooh. Okay. In that case, we must act as soon as possible, because the situation could very well be getting worse.
M1A nods in, but is kind of fiddling now with their fingers.
Woodlick learned last time that physical contact is not particularly a thing that M1A digs, but he does sort of put his face quite close, you know, in the sort of stern but loving grandfatherly sort of a way, and said, "You did a very good thing coming to me."
And M1A stares back at him and quietly looks around a little bit more, the same kind of expectation that something might happen. And then they turn back and say, "Statement. I hope so."
Affirmation. It was. Okay, I am going to call my companion, if you consent.
M1A nods.
Very good. Okay, now, where did I put that telephone? And you look around and there's, like, no sign of a telephone. It's, there's paper everywhere, machines everywhere, wires everywhere. Do you want to help me find the telephone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's roll, I guess, investigation.
Yeah, that would be a good way to go about it, especially because I have a +5 in that. Okay, let's find a telephone in this disorganized heap of crap. 15. Let's
15,
see.
that's not bad.
Let's see. I think
M1A.
Yeah, you go.
Too distracted by their friend, and I think also just like they don't know this organized chaos very well.
I mean, also, does M1A know what a phone is?
They do actually. They've
Oh,
seen one, I guess, brick Nokia phone.
I see. In that case, you
And
you do
this,
helpfully bring him a recorder, and this is the woodwind instrument, and he blows on it and says, "Ah, no, that one is out of tune. Okay, that's and he disappears like a ferret under a pile of papers, which you might read things about colours on them. That he's very obsessed with colour, but honestly, in this world, that's probably a good field of science to be fascinated with. And he
oh, definitely.
emerges victorious with one of those really old-fashioned phones with the circle on the front that you put your finger in, and you go.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he does that a couple of times, and it sounds like it's taking forever to call a number. Uh,
M1A has no idea what this is.
yeah, and eventually he says, "Hello, hi, what? Oh, I have it upside down. Ah, now you sound better. Okay. Yes, I know. Yeah, it's late, but why would I call you when it's late? Yeah, it's an emergency. Okay. Are you in? Ah, yes, you are in the warehouse. Okay, well, come on then. Come on, come on. And he hangs up without any further explanation to the other person on the end of the phone.
And M1A did probably didn't hear anything from the other side. They're they're inspecting the phone now. They're quietly fascinated with the functionality of it.
Mm. I think would Lig notice this? Let's roll a perception. Let's roll a perception because it's a D&D game. 11. He doesn't. He's gone back over to the companion and is checking that sine wave again to check it hasn't got any quieter. Even while they've been having this conversation, and yeah, just observing. He's got one of those gigantic magnifying glasses and is like walking all
Oh,
around this little nest. He
yeah,
has found the duck. He has found the rubber duck and is not paying attention to it, but thinks it's adorable.
and when a notices that you're back at the nest and has and once they notice you've used the tuning fork again, they rush back over to check up on whether it's gotten any different.
Mm-hmm. I mean, has it got any different, the sine wave? That's up to you.
It it hasn't. It's the same.
Whew. I mean, I'm good. I'm good. That's a relief because
Yeah,
time pressure. Scary. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he's having a look at the other part of the pie that's come off, or is it both? Like, are both pieces this arm that's come off?
No, no. One appears to be another part of the ship.
Hmm.
Um, that would, if you're cross-referencing M1A, would probably be part of a wing.
Okay, okay. Fascinating, very fascinating. You are a very interesting pair, you know that?
And M1A looks at him and goes, "Mere sparks are we."
Mere nothing. I have never seen anything like you in my entire life, and I have lived quite a long time, I will tell you that. And yeah, he's sort of doing the finger wag, the milk carl finger wag. Uh, and he really is. He's thoroughly impressed by you.
And M1A kind of like looks a little confused and goes, "I I have never seen observation. I have never seen anything like you.
Well, of
And
course.
I am and they think a little bit. And I have lived for 2 years."
Ah, well, you are very old, I will give you that. I mean, I hope you don't roll insight because he is trying to hide a chuckle.
No, they're too wrapped up in their own thoughts to really notice.
Bless. Also, it's entirely up to you when this extra party arrives. I'm not going to force that on you, but I'm quite happy to stay here and just do investigation checks.
um, for a moment, M1A. Let's say for this moment, M1A initially kind of just hovers near their friend and is just kind of like quietly observing them, and they, I think if there's a time for them to be surprised by anyone coming in,
Yeah.
probably now.
Oh boy. Well, this is the kind of guy who doesn't knock, especially when he's been called at whatever it was, midnight. So you hear a great big bang as that's the door opening.
And, who might that be?
Alright, Ludi, what's up? I told you my name is Woodlick. Woodlick, it's got a va at the beginning. What is happening? Well, I mean, it's the middle of the night. Am I really going to stand on ceremony? What the peck are those? And he is looking at both of the alien specimens.
So, hang on. I'm just gonna very quickly roll. A whiz save. Oh, that did.
Uh-oh. Oh no. I'm sorry, I've traumatized your alien.
So, well, with this new entry, with this new person, make a, I guess a whiz save, because something is flying at top speed directly at your face.
Okay, fun. You mean a whiz save or a dex save? I mean, like,
I guess a dex save to not fall over backwards.
Okay, I will do the dex save. Whoa, okay,
Oh,
yeah, he's good.
That's good.
That's a 23. Jeez.
You suddenly have this tiny creature up in your face going, "Who are you? Who is this? Query, what is your what is your position here?"
Well, hi. Okay, all right, calm down. I'm the engineer.
And M1A kind of stares at him a bit and says, "Query, what is your function?"
Well, I tend to engineer things, clues in the name. What are you? And he is now walking around and sniffing M1A. He is very interested in this thing, and Woodlig sort of waves him down and is just like, all right, I will explain. This is a friend. He is called M1A. Well, they are called M1A, and they have brought their other friend here from space, I think, and he's broken, so we need to fix them. Can you stop traumatizing? Will you get your nose off? And engineer is like really up in your business. How does M1A feel like now?
M1A now has like a blaster pointed at him.
Unfortunately, engineer is just fascinated by the blaster now. Like, whoa, that is some impressive technology. What is this? What did you say, M1A? That's too much of a mouthful. Hello, Maya.
And M1A kind of like, their eyes narrow a bit, and they kind of they blink at the word Maya. Great. My
If you root it out, it doesn't look too different from it. M-I-A, Maya, it's a better name.
And M1A looks at you, engineer, and says, "You are engineer?
Yes, I am a qualified engineer, and people call me the engineer because I'm an engineer. So, let's see what I can engineer for you."
And then M1A turns to Woodlick and says, "This is the third brain."
Yes, it is in there somewhere, I promise you.
And M1A kind of puts down their pistol, because they're now kind of convinced that, hey, this wasn't some random person that just burst in out of nowhere.
Oh, he's very much a random person that burst in out of nowhere, but he was at least invited first, so, yeah. For those who are listening, who are wondering how on earth the engineer is in Waddleton, it does tie up, because the new project of the Sea Train, which is a train that goes on and under the sea, needs to be built somewhere which is accessible by the sea. So Waddleton is a big port, and he's hired out a big warehouse, and that's where they're making their initial prototypes. And it's just as well that he likes working late, because he was still awake when the call came in, and him and Woodlake have known each other. They have known each other for a long time. That's a whole story by itself, but we'll get to that.
Engineer gets some sleep. Anyway,
never.
So M1A is closely observing the engineer, just trained eyes on the engineer at this point, because who are you? Whomst are you? They do not know you.
That's fair enough. I mean, you could roll history. You might have read a newspaper with his name in it.
Might have seen a poster, actually.
Yeah, there's a couple of those. He's been busy lately. No.
No, that's a 5.
Awesome.
Whomst are you? They have never heard of you before.
Whomst the peck is this? Yeah, fair. That's actually hilarious. I love that. The engineer has taken the hint from Woodlake and has gone over to the actual project at hand, and is sort of looking between your damaged companion and M1A, or Maya, as he appears to have decided to call you, which is quite rude, but...
M1A has like flash stepped over to next to the box and is still eyeing. It's a little bit of a glare, but it's mostly stern kind of, I am watching you.
Mm-hmm. It's a bit hard to tell if the engineer is doing the same back to you because he has no eyes. But he is pointing his head between the two subjects that he has to study. Is like, all right, well, I can see it's damaged. Do you have the parts? Oh, good, you do. And Woodlake obligingly passes over one of the slices of pie. I'm sorry, he's so weird. But he's going to, you know when you test a coin by biting it very, very gently?
Oh my god.
Yeah, so he is going to do that because that's his way of telling what kind of metal it is, and he can, like, taste it because he has a very strange diet.
I guess, yeah. You do that?
I do that. Should I roll to see if I can tell what kind of metal it is or alloy?
Yeah, go ahead.
What would that be? Investigation?
Would taste count as perception?
I hope so, because I don't have jack shit in investigation for the engineer, so... Okay. Okay, let's do perception then. That's 4. That's not great. 11. He's probably never tasted this shit before.
You probably haven't, because it's something from space.
Wow. I mean...
It's not an alloy you're familiar with.
Well, this is something. I know I'm trying to figure out what. Do you have any insight? No, I haven't got a clue. It's so exciting. Well, yes, I do agree with you. And you now see why they are best friends, because they are geeking out about this. It's so cool.
M1A is now, like, staring at the bitten piece of metal and says, "Do not eat my friend."
Oh, I'm not gonna eat that. It's terrible. But I was just trying to figure out what it is.
And M1A kind of raises a finger and then kind of dejectedly lowers it and says, "I don't know."
Well, that makes 3 of us. Yes, we are all in the same boat. That's not the boat that we want to be in, though. So, yeah, I don't know what we should do at this point, but I would appreciate a little break, because I need to glug some water, because I am doing 2 very different voices.
Yeah, no, all good.
Cool, I'll just go and stretch and do that. This is great fun, though. Okay, thank you. I love your alien friends. They're so cute. I'm sorry.
We're gonna be doing some fixing soon.
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry, I collect eccentric old men. It's just apparently something that I do now. I hadn't quite realised, but now I'm like, yeah, I really do that.
I mean,
Okay.
They're a delight.
I'll be back in a minute.
I've got water. I've done a little stretch. And now we are going to start doing the flow.
Water chugged, flapjack obtained, I am forcibly ejected from the voice acting guild. Hi. Oh, this is so much fun. I love this.
Yeah. Also,
sorry
boy.
if I
Let's see.
sort of keep accidentally stepping over you with talking. I can never tell if there's a delay or not, but Discord.
No, there's a bit. I feel like there's a bit of a delay because you're in the UK and I'm in Australia. So
yeah. Oh, that would yeah.
We'll just have to. that would do it.
Think so.
So yeah. Now how to transition into this next part?
Good question. I don't know what the next part is, but it's probably a good question if you're asking
it. M1A is, well, we've gotten the game together, and M1A is now kind of looking down at the arm that you the arm that Woodleg was looking at earlier with the circuitry on it.
Yeah.
And they kind of look at their own arm and examine it. They're not removing the plating or anything. They're looking at it.
Uh-oh. Engineer says, great working example. Fantastic. If you can just stretch your arm out a wee bit more, that'll be great.
And when A looks at him, and unfortunately, engineer, I think you're gonna have to do some convincing.
All right. Okay. Shall I roll and then see how bad it is, and then try?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Because his persuasion is a +1.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Okay, an 18's not bad though. Okay, it says.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a splendid thing. I mean, it's very useful if you're trying to fix something to have a working version of that thing. So it would be super duper if you could just demonstrate what your arm can do.
M1A thinks about this. They stretch out their arm. An engineer, upon observation, you notice that there isn't really anything connecting the arms or the quote wings to the central part of the body. They just seem to be floating there.
Hey, Woodlake, look at this. Yeah, I think it might be an electromagnetic field. Yeah, I reckon it could be. I've seen something a wee bit like this before, but it wasn't nearly so sophisticated. And he is basically, the engineer knows a tiny bit now about space technology because he worked on Star Cores with DJ Moon, who knows about alien stuff. And just he's by no means an engineer, but he had a spaceship, so he knew how to do it. And so the engineer knows what the hell a chipboard thing is. So this is good.
This is good. Thank goodness. But basically, what M1A does is they look at their own arm, and then they look down at I guess the broken chunk of wing that is there down below, and they say, arm and wing similar?
Well,
Query. Query. Could my wing be used?
Oh, that is a very altruistic suggestion, but if we could fix the ring, then we don't have to take anything off this one, don't you think, engineer? Well, I mean, we could use it as a temporary basis if it isn't gonna hurt me, but I don't know, I would rather fix the entire thing, but on the other hand, this one's not looking so well, is it? I am not sure that it would be a good idea to leave them in that state for a long time, though it is true. So, as a temporary measure, we may have to do a transplant, it is true.
M1A thinks about this, and they kind of they reach back to their one of their back wings, and they look a little hesitant to do this.
I'm hesitant to do this. I don't know if this is a good idea. Should I roll?
Actually, M1A kind of closes their eyes and they pull, and suddenly they are holding one wing above their head and in both arms and in both hands, and they are staring at it, and also they have suddenly rotated completely to the right.
Ah, well, that is
make a perception check.
Yeah, I shall make.
Perception.
I will make 2 perception checks, which is great because they both have the same bonus for it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so that was Woodleg. This is engineer. Okay, engineer, you being a dumbass. What is that 10 about? Pay attention, son.
So, engineer, you kind of like, oh wow, this little thing just removed their whole wing, and now is just kind of like is floating sideways essentially with their other wing up. But Woodlake, you do notice whenever they suddenly rotated to the side, they seem to have pivoted. There's one part of them that did not move, and it was their little core.
So the wings are directionally proportional. This is a fascinating branch of aeronautics. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, we aren't even in the air in Nyquil yet. I am working on that. But, hey, this is very interesting. So if we were to put this back, would you rotate back into the same direction that you were facing is the question. Could you do that for me? Can you put it back?
M1A looks up at them and says, Mary, why are you both on the wall?
Well, I think that is a matter of perspective. We haven't moved.
M1A looks down, realizes what's going on. They go, and they drop their wing, and they suddenly turn fully upside down.
Oh,
what?
Okay. Oh no! I think engineer is going to try and catch that wing before it hits the floor because he's the person who gets advantage on dex saves. Oh.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Oh, come on. Do better with the second one. Come on. 22.
Yeah. You catch it.
I think there's a bit of a juggling act with the 9, you know, it's like, got it.
Yeah.
Whereas Woodleg is sort of like just amazed at what's going on here and is has summoned a blackboard out of somewhere and is scribbling equations all over it.
And M1A is like, put it back, put it back, put it back, put it back, put it back.
Alright. I am trying to figure this out. Engineer, would you mind taking care of that? I think you are more athletically inclined than I, and climbing on the ceiling is not really my cup of tea. Alright, I'm always going to do the heavy lifting around you. Alright, I'm coming up. I guess he's going up.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's see. How am I going to do this?
M1A isn't hovering that far up.
Okay.
They're just upside down.
Oh, bless. I mean, are they near a wall or something?
They're near they're still close by. Basically they seem to just be pivoting on the same point.
Ah, okay, I
Uh,
get it. Okay, well, he scrambles up onto a desk so he's got a better place to angle himself to put the wing
yeah,
back. Do I have to roll something
yeah.
to reattach this wing?
Remarkably, you do not. Something
Mm.
unseen tugs as soon as you hold the wing nearby, and it's pulled back in. And when they quickly rights themselves,
Whoa.
uh, and they're very alarmed.
I think it might be electromagnetism. That just yanked it out of my hand. Ah, well, that is good. That fits with the equation. Okay, well, we know what that one does. That's good, that's good, that's good. So we know why the little one is not hovering. However, my pressing concern is with the damage to the main body, because that is the part which is it appears to be the thinking cortex. He's sort
um,
of looking at M1A for
when a
confirmation, yeah.
when a thinks for a moment and then realizes what he means and places their hand over their helmet in a similar manner that the sticker is over their friend's helmet,
Mm-hmm.
as if to ask if that's what he means.
Vodlik nods and writes down "bonkers of the conkers" on the on the blackboard.
um, M1A goes over to their friend and they point to they point to the broken pieces of their of the UFO and they say, "Fix, compare," and they point at their own arm and point at their friend's arm. "Fix."
Ah, yes, well, that is the idea. Okay, we will fix the arm first, and then we will try to attempt to figure out what to fix of the central cortex. Engineer, what is your opinion on this? And the engineer is going to have a look at that arm. Should I roll something to see if I can figure out anything?
Roll investigation.
Oh boy, come on, Lady Luck, be kind to me today. I don't have a bonus in this one at all. 13.
12, well, 13. That just does it. They so you you are going to start tinkering and looking through. You thankfully, because you've worked on Star Cause and because of your familiarity general with the clockwork, you can uh, kind of figure out some mechanisms that look quite. You realize it's a system that you're not entirely familiar with, but you know it's a propulsion system,
Query,
and
can I...
you can at least figure out.
Sorry, I had to use query. But can Woodley give guidance to the engineer? He does have that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool. That adds a D4, so hopefully it'll give me more than a...
Oh,
Okay, there's a 15. That's not great, but
ooh,
it's better than 13.
okay. So I will give you something a bit more. Um, so amongst the amongst the mechanism of the arm,
Mm-hmm.
you notice that there's so one end is the chipboard, the other end is the clockworky look inside.
Mm-hmm.
At the chipboard, you think was the side where the helmet is,
Yeah.
or where the head would be in UFO mode.
Mm-hmm.
The clockwork side is the hand, where the hand would pop out. However, you do see something kind of you see something like a block in it, like kind of buried in the mechanism. It looks like it's meant to be there, but it's kind of strange that it's there in the same sense.
Okay, well, the engineer isn't going to question that. He's going to take it out.
Oh, interesting. As you fiddle with that block, um, you hear something kind of creak and twinge, and you feel a sudden kind of tug. You feel like a tug from nearby because the the broken UFO is nearby,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly you hear a loud ka-chink, and something uh, outside of the sides of the sleeping UFO sides and the the broken pieces, though kind of roughly in the broken pieces, you see teeth kind of come out of the sides, and uh, this little UFO now kind of resembles a gear.
Oh, cool. I mean, like, that's basically what both Woodley and Engineer are feeling right now. They're like, oh my god, look at that!
And and M1A is like staring at this and going, "Oh, I did not think that still worked."
Hmm? What's that? You used to be able to do this?
M1A shakes their head and says, "I am Sentry. They are Sprocket.
Sprocket
I am
Sentry?
not built." Oh, and M1A kind of points out, "Mere sparks were we. I am Sentry. I keep the Sprocket aligned. They are Sentry. They are strength, and they assist the great machine in its power."
I feel like I need to roll something to interpret this statement, even if I have thoughts of my own. What should I roll? Insight? I'm guessing insight.
Insight.
Yeah, let's
Insight.
just do that good old everybody has a +4 to it. Okay, that's Budlig, who's got 15. And the engineer has a 7. Oh, well, he's very excited. He's sort of just gushing over the fact that he discovered a new thing, and he's, you know, with the tug sensation, he's like guided the part back to the original carapace and is like hoping that it'll reconnect.
It. So I'll quickly tell you right now. It kind of does, but it seems it doesn't fit because of how broken and dented it is.
Yeah.
It kind of doesn't fit back in place.
Right. Well,
But
I can do something
Woodley,
about that. He's gonna do that next.
Woodlake, however, you pick up that you kind of remember M1A saying something along the lines of "mere sparks are we."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they have referred to themselves as Sentry class quite a few times now.
Yeah.
Um, you, you get the feeling whenever they refer to their friend as Sprocket class, you wonder if perhaps they are of a different function.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense. And his brain is now sort of cogitating about this as, you know, a society with different tiers or functions, quite like those in Anquil, but perhaps in a very more a literal way because these seem to be very mechanically based life forms. He doesn't say too much of this out loud. He's doing the thought bubble. Like, you can see the thought bubble from the outside, you can't see what's inside it, though.
No.
Meanwhile, Engineer is having a look at these dents, because that is definitely something that he can sort out, probably.
Do you want to roll perception on these dents at all?
Sure, I will do that. Oh, come on, man.
Oh.
Really? I mean, could I argue he has advantage because he has a literal lifetime of working with machines?
I say you have an advantage because you've probably seen so many like stunt crashes and stunt stuff and broken machines.
He's had to fix a lot of shit.
Almost know the nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's still not great, but a 13 is better. I'll take it.
not great, but I will allow you to to investigate this. Engineer, you're pretty familiar with, like I said, stunt crashes and maybe breaking machines and having to repair them after the fact. Um, and you're you as you're kind of working on figuring these dents out, you kind of start to figure out that the the alloy is kind of folded
Hmm.
in a similar way that one would be crushed.
Oh. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I think he was, but like, we've got a interesting cause of damage here. I think this thing's been squashed, like, badly. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, that doesn't look good, does it? Is there anything we can do to prise it open, do you think, without damaging it further? I don't know.
Uh, roll, just roll.
Mm-hmm.
I say roll to fix, just because I think I'm going to give you that.
Roll to fix. Okay. Well, I will say
Roll to fix.
that there are things that Verlig can
I
do,
don't.
including mending, so that might help
Oh,
considerably.
hmm.
Would that be cheating? There is something else I can
Uh,
use if it is cheating.
uh, I think you can do mending. Yes.
Okay, I tell you what, he casts mending, but it's probably like the damage is so whack that the engineer has to do something
It's
as
pretty
well.
convoluted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's
what would
convoluted. Yeah.
you like engineer to roll in replacement of a function that would be described as fixing something, because D&D doesn't have that.
Yeah. Exactly. Let's see. Oh, you have a 0 in intelligence. What?
Yeah,
Um,
he's all about
I
like
say
the practical common sense wisdom. He's not about
I'm
book studies,
I'm
man.
gonna say you know what needs to be done,
Hmm.
but how dexterous are you in figuring it in managing to get it all working?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Because this is pretty tiny. This is pretty tiny clockwork and mechanism, and you have to be pretty careful. So
Hmm.
roll a dexterity.
Okay, that's something I can do. So that's just a straight +4. Oh boy, a 17.
Okay, cool, awesome. It takes you a little bit. However, this is the arm, right?
Yeah, where the crushing damage is that they've identified.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So definitely, so it takes a while to get through it,
Hmm.
because everything is pretty dang crushed and tangled, and it does take a while. It results in M1A kind of like settling down in their UFO mode nearby and
Hmm.
just watching patiently.
I'm wondering if something that
But
might help is heating up the metal, because that's something that both of them can do.
oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Give it a go.
Okay. I think because it's cooler visually, the engineer, sort of involuntarily, again, him and his magic are sort of coming to terms with each other. But he has
Yeah, yeah,
green. He has green flame blade. So he basically,
yeah.
his hands start generating a sort of gentle flame, but it's the same cyan blue as the inside of his mouth, and that will
Oh,
heat up the metal just gently, so it's a sort of a nice cherry red, so it's slightly more malleable.
oh. M1A watches this in fascination.
I told you that his
Query,
body was very
is
useful,
this
as well as the brain, which is in there somewhere, I promise.
Query, is this magic?
Well, yeah, I think so. I'm still learning about that myself, but yes, I think it is. And he looks a little bit proud of himself.
Oh.
He's learning.
um, yeah. M1A is not familiar with magic.
The engineer isn't
Um,
particularly either, with his -9 in Arcana.
so um, but yeah, after a while, you manage to steadily fix the arm and putting it back onto putting it back onto the UFO. It fits just fine.
That's a relief.
It kind of chinks back into place.
Yay! I think there is an exchanging of handshakes. One is offered to M1A or
Yeah.
Maya, whichever you prefer.
Yeah. Maya kind of looks at the high five and just kind of taps it with two fingers. They don't know what this is.
The engineer accepts this. It's
They don't
adorable.
know what a high five is.
I would like
two fingers.
I'd like Maya to roll perception.
They will.
Yay.
One sec. What's your perception? Oh, it's not bad. It's a +3. That's a 14.
I'll give you the very basics. In doing this, you notice that the palms and the fingers of the engineer have turned black, but nothing further. And it sort of fades away.
Oh.
He shakes his hand a bit after the magic starts dissipating.
Oh. M1A notices this and kind of looks at their own hand, but they don't really comment on it. They then look at the wing and point, and they point to it. Fixing next.
Alright, yeah, bossy on you, Maya, but good for you. Alright, well, okay, buddy, what do you think this... You said something about this being directionally related? Ah, yes, well, if we remove it, then their axis of operation appears to rotate by 90 degrees. So...
M1A...
Alright, I don't know, I think it is. I'm trying to sound smart, it's hard.
Oh no, don't worry. I'm trying to be coy, but I don't know much about mechanisms myself. Try rolling dexterity for fixing up this wing.
Okay, so engineer will roll dexterity again, and again, Vidlik has little support things that he can do if this is absolute shit.
Yeah.
21 though, that's not bad.
Wow.
He's got some practice in. Okay, he rubs his hands and they heat up again and they go at
doing
it. Yeah.
He's doing it.
He's doing the thing.
So one of these, this is the badly damaged wing. So they're not quite like the arms. You notice that like engineer, because you rolled so high, if you peer closer at some of the internal mechanisms, you see something kind of reminiscent of a roll of film tape. Wait a minute. That's a cassette thing. That's one of something that it's kind of what, or it's a disc. You don't know what it is, but it's built in underneath. It's built in underneath all of the clockwork, and you can inspect it further if you like, but you wouldn't be able to glean anything off of it.
He will definitely expect it. I mean, this guy is such a geek about film. So yeah, absolutely, he will try.
Upon closer investigation, you notice it's probably more of an audio-based thing rather than a film-based thing.
Buddy, do you have anything that might be able to play this? And Woodlick is going to have a look because he is very much a master of music, so...
M1A looks at the tiny little disc, and suddenly they look a little bit flustered, and they shake their hands and they go, reports, classified.
Classified? Oh, well, we can't interrupt with something that is classified, can we, engineer? Can't we? I'm curious. No, we cannot. We will respect our pet. Our client's confidentiality. Sorry, sometimes my tongue gets into the wrong place. You know what it is. Oh yes, I do know how it is because my tongue has to do the trills of the R at the front of my mouth, and yours have to do it at the back. Yeah, because I have to say rot. Rot is right in the back. I don't know how you do it because mine's right at the front mid teeth, and it does its own problems. I know it's so. Anyway, yes. She said.
Everybody like looks at this conversation happening, and they say, it is just at the front of my mouth.
Say that again?
It's at the front of my speaker.
Ah, okay, so that's where we have to play it.
It is at the front of my speaker.
No, we are not going to play the tape, even if it is interesting, and we would very much like to see what is on it. We will not be doing that today, engineer. Yeah. All right, fine. And he puts it back.
So at this point, you start this fits back only a little bit. You realize that the next piece that is still attached to this UFO is a little bit dented as well. So you decide to kind of realize that maybe this whole ship might need a bit of a tune-up.
Yeah.
And oh boy, this is gonna take a while. So you continue fixing and tinkering, and both of you roll perception.
Yeah, okay. I shall roll perception after I've checked what Professor Verling says. It's still +4. A lot of +4s over here.
A lot of +4s, yeah.
Whoa, Verling, you're on it, boy. Okay, that's a 23. And a 19. Pretty good. All right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Both of you are now noticing off to the side, M1A has been watching intently for this entire time. But you notice that their quote eyelids are starting to slump a little bit.
Oh,
and
it's tired.
And you realize that they are starting to drift off a little bit, but they seem to be stubbornly trying to stay awake.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, Woodling is the one that really noticed, so I think he even, like, sort of winks at Engineer and nods in the direction, and Engineer is like, well, that is something that I do have some expertise with. Maya, are you alright? Do you need a nap?
And when A quickly shakes their head, I must keep the sprockets in line. I must protect and look out.
Well, you won't be able to do that if you're half asleep. You should definitely get some shut-eye. Me and Woodling here have got it. We've got the knack, see? Look, we're nearly finished with this piece.
And M1A kind of, they look a little frustrated at this, but they shoot back up into their UFO mode, and they set themselves down on like the counter nearby, and they say, I will watch. I will watch. I will watch. And they slowly drift to sleep, and very suddenly a pixelated letter Z kind of starts floating up above their head.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. It's so cute. I think there's a sort of very quiet sort of, you know, that sort of giggly hushing each other while Woodling gets a blanket. Gets a blanket and very carefully puts it over M1A.
Yeah. Would Woodling maybe like to would Woodling be out of the room for a little bit?
Should he be? You can ask that question. He may have to go and get some more materials to fix this, the broken UFO.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
conveniently,
yeah,
Ludwig leaves the room for a moment to get some plot-related items. Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah. And Emma or Maya has fallen fast asleep. An engineer, for a while, you're kind of working. You're pretty intently fixing stuff in bits and pieces. You're waiting on a few pieces for from Woodlake, but you're kind of you've everything kind of all the pieces of the pie, I guess, kind of mirror each other. So you're starting to get into the rhythm of it,
Mm.
basically. And you would you like to roll a perception?
I sure would. Let's see what happens. 14. He is concentrating pretty hard on what he's actually doing, so that
You're
figures.
you're concentrating, yeah, you're concentrating pretty hard. Um, but you in your work, you suddenly hear a little, oh, hi,
Oh, cool. Okay,
and
yeah.
and someone is looking directly up at you.
Oh, cool. Yeah. He has started glowing a bit. His ears have pricked up for sure, but he's staying still, and he says, "Well, hello there."
And this little one is going to quickly roll perception. Is plus 4.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Um, they immediately they glance quickly to the side and they notice M1A is fast asleep.
Mhm.
Um, and you notice that they have relaxed at the sight. And then they look up at you and they say, M1A Sentry mentioned Woodlick Professor. M1A Sentry spoke of Blink Friend and Marcel Cook. They did not speak of you.
Ah, well, they've only just met me, so I'm the engineer. It's lovely to meet you.
And the UFO blinks and goes, Engineer, engineer?
Aye. Aye, it is a bit funny being
I
called the engineer
am.
and being an engineer, but it's practical.
Mm, it's a very long name.
Well, you could always call me Engie. What should I call you?
And this UFO goes, Oh, um, I am C0D3, Sprocket class.
Oh, so Kogi.
Cody. Yes.
Kogi, Mia, or Maya. Ah, I like these two names. They're good.
What? What are you doing?
Well, at the moment, Corgi, I'm trying to fix you. What do you think about this? And he holds up the piece that he's been working on, which I don't know if it's finished or not.
uh, Cody looks over at basically a piece of himself and goes, "Oh, that looks that looks better."
Aye, it was a bit of a mess. What happened to
What?
you?
Uh, and Cody kind of tilts their head and goes, "Uh, disposal."
Well, I'm all about recycling.
And Cody blinks and goes, "Oh, that might have been better. But no, disposal."
Well, I don't know
Why
who
are
tried to
you helping?
You're helping me by telling me how to fix you because I don't know who disposed of you, but I think you're entirely functional. So let's see what I can do about the top of you. What happened to your head? That's bad, that.
And the and Cody shrugs and says, um, "Great machine must have had a reason. I am of no use to
Oh no. Yeah, he's glowing a little more than he was. He's also quite warm. No, I don't want to
them."
scare. I don't want to scare the new. I don't want to scare the baby. Okay, I think this is going to be a. I need to either roll. It's up to you. Am I rolling deception or acting, basically, in terms of pretending that he's not furious?
Probably. Go with acting. I think.
Okay, good, because I have
So I guess
quite a bonus for that.
performance.
That is +10. Hey,
Oh
cool.
gee.
Turns out being a world famous actor
you-
does come in useful sometimes with the 28.
Yeah. They do not notice anything like a seething rage or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just a glowy guy. It sort of flickers for a bit. It's like, you know, when you have a little electric surge through a light bulb. It does that sort of a thing. But then it settles, and he doesn't look like his face has changed at all. He's just sort of politely smiling and interested. And he's like, well, that's interesting, and you can tell me all about it when you're completely better, which I am going to make sure happens. So, is there anything that you can tell me about how you received this damage? Because it really could help me and the professor fix it, and that is a nasty looking bump on your noggin there.
Cody kind of, they think a little bit, and they kind of try and lift one of their arms. It doesn't quite work. They feel a little too weak to do so, but they blink at they look up as if to indicate the sticker on their helmet, and they say, "Was taken to compactor, pulled bulls out halfway through."
You've got a very good friend, haven't you?
And Cody looks over at Maya, who's fast asleep, and says, "Did not understand why they helped."
Well, maybe one day you will, but I think
grateful.
that's going to be them that has to explain it. Yeah. I'm feeling things. I have emotions. Also, Wally is like one of my favorite films, so like,
um, and they kind of look at the sticker and they say, "Help, helmet is broken."
We are going our best to do our best to fix that. I think I actually might need my friend to help fix that because it looks fairly complicated. Here's a basic question for you. Are you entirely mechanical, or do you have any biological components? That would be really useful to know.
The Cody kind of thinks a little bit, and they say, "Unsure," and they kind of let's make them roll a strength check really quickly. They do.
Yes, poor baby, don't push yourself.
Oh no. No, they have a -1 in strength. Okay. Oh, that's a 6.
Oh,
They
my heart.
try. You figure out you figure out that they're trying to lift their arm to point at the sticker
Mm-hmm.
again, but it doesn't quite. Yeah, the arm doesn't quite lift up.
Yeah. Engineer's gonna help. Engineer carries the hand, like holds it like to weight bear, and
Yeah.
tries to steer it in the direction that he thinks that Cody wants it to go in.
Cody manages to peel off a little bit of the sticker, and beneath it, you can see where the other eye would have been.
Mm-hmm.
It's more a mess. It's upon looking at it, it's kind of a mess of like, I guess, glitched artifacting and
Mm.
like uh kind of like static looking, like it's a mess of pixels.
Wow.
And
Wow.
make it make a I wonder, engineer, maybe roll
Mm-hmm. I
what's
mean,
a good one?
intelligence is probably the role that you need for this, because that's complicated.
Intelligence is probably it. Yeah,
Okay, I shall roll straight
make an
intelligence.
intelligence roll.
Come on, Lalu. 18! Yeah!
Oh, that's
Yeah, that's
actually
it!
perfect. Um, you realize that this this part here isn't really anything mechanical that you've ever seen. In fact, it it reminds you of like a wound.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The central part, uh, it's not any kind of organism you've ever seen or anything like that, but you know it is not mechanical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He is nodding, and he's like, I am going to go and get my friend because he is very good at medicine, and I think he is the person that really should be looking at this. We are going to mend you. Don't worry about it.
And Cody looks up at you and says, I do not understand why, but thank you.
You're welcome.
I
And
hope you are
understanding
not.
everything is overrated, really. You don't have to.
I hope you are not replaced for helping.
Ugh. Yeah, I think he gets a bit of a shiver at that statement, partly out of anger, but also in a sort of there's a foreboding note to that. He was like,
Yeah.
let's see them try.
And yeah, uh, Cody is still awake when you get back,
Mm-hmm.
but they're already looking a little bit sleepy again.
Yeah, that makes sense. If Woodleg is allowed to return at this point, like Engineer will brief them on everything that happened.
Oh, yeah.
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 Okay, so yeah, Woodleg now seeing that this is definitely a patient. Like before, it was unknown whether this was a patient in the biological sense or, very much a machine, an AI sort of a problem with potential bugs. This is this accelerates the urgency of the situation. So he is definitely
Yeah.
going to try and make some sort of a medicine check or nature check. I think nature first, so that he can figure out like what it is.
Give it a nature check.
Yeah, I mean, we need to know what the organism is before we try and fix it, otherwise we might make it worse. So he is going to do that. Oh, baby, a 22.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you would like you're kind of observing this this little creature closely, and it's not really anything you've ever seen before. But with that said, on a closer inspection, the how do I describe it? You do kind of think that uh, the the head is this body or head, you think, is kind of it's a sphere. It almost the pixels almost kind of make it look like there's like an outer almost gaseous layer to it.
Hmm.
Um, you're it doesn't it's kind of and if you inspect a little closer, you put your fingers on the dome,
Mm-hmm.
and you notice it's a bit cold.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and upon and whenever the few times you've had contact with M1A before, they have been very warm.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Well, it looks like we have a temperature differentiation, which is not ideal. Could you hold this glass dome and just make it warm, not too hot, just a little warm to maybe help? Because as you know, if something is cold, then it doesn't move so well. The engineer is going to carefully oblige without melting the globe.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so uh, as you do this, you notice Cody is still looking kind of sleepy, but it seems like the warmth is kind of comforting them. And they say, "Oh, are you engineer? Are you a spark?"
Well, I've been called a bright spark now and again. He is not a spark as you are, but I think he has the capacity to create sparks. You do, don't you? Now, the engineer removes one of his hands and concentrates and manages to make a few sparks come out of the ends of his fingers because he does have some electrical magic. It's very limited, though.
Yeah, yeah. Um, uh, Cody has not seen magic before ever,
Mm-hmm.
so they stare at this in like huge fascination, um, and then their eye grows half lidded, and they kind of quietly go, "Oh no, 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 no! I
What?
want to see more."
Well, we'll make sure that you can. We're going to make this better. You'll be okay. Just you rest and let us do the hard work. You've done a lot.
And they're gonna make another strength check.
Baby. Kind of want them to just go to sleep so I
Minus
can mend them, but
that's a 14.
mm,
They just reach up and they start peeling off the sticker,
mm-hmm,
and to completely reveal their glitched out eye,
mm,
and you realize to your surprise that there is actually a hole in the helmet
mm.
that the sticker was concealing, and they frown and they say, "I want to see more." And they but you notice that they're pretty close to drifting off already.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh boy, I neither of these have like sleep medicine, so I can like anesthetize the poor little bugger. Ah, I feel
Yeah.
terrible. On the other hand, like, is this the time for a medicine check? Because I really do feel like it is.
Do a medicine check.
Yeah, I also have like cure wounds and stuff, but I feel like this is more of a check based thing because this is a new
Yeah.
experience. Okay, so Woodlick is going to make a medicine check. It's not as good as his nature, but oh no! Oh, that's
Oh no.
bad. However,
Actually,
oh,
engineer, do you want to make a perception check, because you might notice something.
we can, but I'm also going to use a flash of genius to add +5 to that roll, so it's not
Oh,
quite so
please.
dire. Because artificers, alchemists are really cool like that. So that's an 11. So it's
Oh,
not as horrible as a 6.
yeah,
However, I will make a
yeah.
perception check from the engineer. Yeah. Oh, a 20. That's much better. Thank you.
Excellent.
Whew.
That's a dirty 20.
Thank you.
Engineer, you notice that the air immediately around the the broken part of the helmet
Mm-hmm.
is distorting a little bit,
Oh. Oh.
and you're kind of you're kind of familiar with that site. In fact, you're a little wary of that site, but it makes you think of something
Okay.
that you didn't quite consider before.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, yeah, he points this out to, but like, would you elucidate about this supposition?
Um, it it looks kind of like gas,
Yeah, that's what I was
and
guessing, but I didn't want to say it because that was completely off the mark. Ooh, okay.
yeah, no. And it seems to be emanating a little bit from. It's not like rushing out like in a
Mm-hmm.
worrying manner, but it's just kind of hovering around uh, Cody's head, and notably the big hole in the broken helmet.
Mm, okay.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
and
Hmm. Well, we must contain the breach, that is clear, because we do not want to lose more than we already have. I mean, if you've got a hole in you, we don't want to lose all the blood out of you, so I am assuming this is some sort of equivalent. What shall we cover this with? Because we still need to be able to operate on the subject. He's basically now frantically looking around his materials to see if there's something that he can
um,
basically use to cap the leak while they can
yeah,
still operate on the thing. So keyhole
yeah.
surgery is what's going to happen.
Engineer, uh, make I'm going to allow you to continue off that 20. You think back on how cold this UFO it, you were told about how cold this UFO is
Mm-hmm.
compared to Maya,
Mm.
and a thought occurs to you. You're not sure about this thought,
Okay. He really is.
but but you but you kind of you're you're curious about something.
Okay. Yeah. I think you're giving me more credit than I'm due because I don't really know what to do. Okay, so let me word this out.
Okay.
So
Uh,
Maya is usually warm. This little alien is cold. Then they heated it up, and then they saw gas vapors coming out. So maybe they cooled themselves down so that the gas would like go through submerge to a solid or a liquid so that it wouldn't escape.
no, no.
Nope,
It's
completely wrong.
you're close. You're
Oh.
close.
Mm.
Uh, but put make another investigation check with the engineer.
With the engineer, not Woodley. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on, 20. Oh, it's a 4!
Oh god.
No, he's not smart enough! He's just as smart as I am, which is not considerably smart. Okay. No, I think we're
Okay.
both clueless, man.
Okay. All good. What uh Woodlake, you can try and figure out a way to plug this back up, but you should roll an investigation as well.
Sure, sure. He's not really looking to plug it up. He's more like, like covering it. So, you know, like when you have a stab wound, like once you've taken the
Yeah,
knife out,
yeah,
then everything does leak
yeah,
out. What a big surprise. So he's looking for something
yeah.
to, like, you know, like even like a tourniquet or a ligature to, like, stop the worst of
Yeah.
the loss. She said, stalling for time while she finds her investigation bonus, which is a plus
Oh
5.
no, I think
Okay.
it's a +5. Yeah,
Oh my god, there's
that's
the
a
nat
nat
20!
Holy cow!
25!
Uh, Woodley, as you rush back to kind of check on how things are doing, you put your hand on this UFO, and you realize as the gas is coming is kind of leaking out, it's getting a lot colder.
What? What? What, like the room is getting colder, or the
The
gas is getting colder, the alien is
the
getting
UF,
colder?
the UF, the alien is getting colder.
The alien is getting colder. That's not good. I don't like that. I mean, it's a 25. Do I know what to do about this situation? Because I'm assuming that it's
Um,
bad.
that uh, Woodlake, uh, you don't you kind of realize that maybe this creature depends on heat, and maybe uh not just nearby heat.
Mm.
uh
But,
this creature might need some a direct literal spark.
okay, I was almost on the verge of saying that, but I'm glad you did because he says, "Engineer? Yes, what? Spark on your finger. Alright." And he does the sort of, hang on, I've nearly got it. It's like trying to use a cigarette lighter, but he's under pressure, so now he's like, ah, and but he does. And then Woodlake just grabs his hands and like, as delicately as shoving can get, puts the end of Engineer's finger directly into this alien, and that's the craziest thing I've ever had Woodlake do. But he is also kind of bonkers. So he has basically given this alien, whatever you call it, clips.
And basically what happens is you are blinded by a big cyan light, uh, and essentially an explosion happens.
Oh, good.
Uh,
I killed it
you
by exploding it.
hang on. You see Code in the light. Cody's eye has shot open, and while the middle of his head has remained black, the outside of the sphere that is his head, as their head, has kind of exploded into a bright kind of you're it's as if you're looking at the sun for a
Ooh.
bit. Everything is This whole alien is on fire. The light is shining as bright as possible, and suddenly the fire and flame particles kind of swoop back into this alien, and and you look at where the mess of code was on this alien's bad eye, and it's reconfiguring and becoming sharper until it kind of has uh, until all the messy kind of artifacting has now formed into a very neat X shape over on one eye, while the other is is completely normal.
Mm.
Uh, and this alien is wide awake. It is now hovering above the ground, above the nest a bit, um, and it is quietly going, what?
Was that good? Do we do a good
and
thing? Exploding
Blaine
is usually bad.
and
Did we do a bit? And Woodleg is sort of laughing. He's been like shot across the room and is just like, "This is the best. This
oh
is the
yeah,
best."
oh yeah. What like I'm sorry, but your immediate surroundings of the lab are a bit singed, I'm afraid.
Oh,
But
he's used to that. That's like every other day, man. That's
and oh yeah, oh yeah. So big explosion has just happened. But in the middle of it is Cody, and while their some of their parts still look kind of not quite at 100%, uh, they are bright-eyed. Their injured eye is no longer a mess. It's not. It doesn't look like it's functional. It's just an X.
mm-hmm.
You suspect that it is a scar now,
Yeah,
having been left that way for so long.
yeah.
But they are looking directly at you to, and they look uh, they look bright. They look awake. They look energized, and they look very surprised.
It's not the only one. I mean, I think Woodling is less surprised than the engineer because, like, he figured out what he had to do. Engineer is still kind of like, we set gas on fire and then the alien exploded. I mean, it looks better now, but also, huh? So Woodling is still sort of recovering his bout of laughter because, like, this, the solution was almost comically simple and at the same time like nothing he's ever seen before. This is one of the best days of his life. It's so rare that you get to see something that you have literally never seen before, especially when you're this guy. And Engineer is the one that actually sort of gets to his feet and is like, you, Cody, you alright?
and and Cody is looking down at themselves, and they say, I am awake. I am I am I think I think I'm okay.
Well, we'd better
How
check. Woodling, can you explain what we just pecking did? Because I am in the dark. Well, actually, I'm quite in the bright, very bright light, actually. Oh, but Woodling gets up
uh
and hurries over and is like
you
putting the
notice
tuning fork on Cody just to see if that signal has like amplified at all.
oh, it has absolutely amplified.
Yes.
It is now a healthier looking sine wave.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely more energized than it ever was.
Hooray!
And the light that has been radiating off this UFO finally kind of like retreats back, and Cody has their usual black head and torso again. But they still look healthy. They still look bright, and they still look alert and awake.
Well, this was quite an adventure. I am afraid we may need to do further work on your eye. Whether it is salvageable, I am not sure. We may have to get you a replacement or something. But I think I can call the operation a success.
Uh, and at this point, you hear a small mission successful. And if you look over to the side of the lab, someone else got sent flying
Yeah,
after that
sure.
explosion.
Oh dear. Oh, I think
And
Woodlink
after a
hurries over
while
to
of
brush some sheets of paper off Maya so that they can see what's happened.
yeah, M1A is staring at uh, Cody, and Cody turns and waves. Hello, F1A Sentry. I didn't see you. And M1A kind of is hesitantly flying forward. They've kind of unfolded into their wings mode. Uh, they look like they can't really believe what they're seeing.
Mm.
And they suddenly dart forward and almost like engineer, they dart around them, inspecting them from all angles. uh, you, you're you're functional. Cody, C0D3 sprocket, you are functional. You you are functional. You are better. We we can return. And Cody looks at M1A, and they're they're still kind of awkward in their flight. They're not really they're still not quite at 100%, and they tilt their head at M1A and they say, "I am the great machine does not want me. I think you know this." And M1A kind of falters a bit and goes, "No, no, the great machine will accept us. They will accept us if we are both functional, yes?" And Cody tilts their head to the other side and they say, "The great machine will accept you. You know this. You may go. Your mission is complete." And M1A, their wings droop, and they're gonna roll a wisdom save really quick.
Mm. Yeah, my guys are just like letting them talk this out because this is not the time to interject.
Yeah, that's fair. Was +1. It's not bad.
Oh man, that's a nat 1. That's a critical fail.
It's a critical fail. And M1A, their wings droop and their head lowers and they quietly sink down to the ground. And they say, I I have no mission anymore. The great machine will take us both back. Won't they? I I have no mission here. But they have to take us both back.
Is this the time for someone to say something? I don't know.
There. You may absolutely say something if you can.
No! Oh gosh, I don't even know which of them. I think they're both kind of looking at each other because yeah, Engineer definitely related everything that Cody had said about the Great Machine.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a sort of exchange of looks going on here, but I think Vodlig has to be the one who does it because, you know, he's the one that actually has more of a relationship with Maya. Do you prefer Maya or Mia? I'm not sure.
Yes. Either one is fine.
Well, you said stutteringly Mia, so I shall try to default to Mia. Okay, so Vodlig goes up to M1A, or Mia, as Engineer appears to have decided to call them, and does not put a hand on them exactly, just sort of sits on the floor in sort of a duckish sort of a way. You know, he is a professor, so it's quite funny seeing this, as it were, sophisticated, educated man just sort of plop down with his feet sticking out. And he's also quite tired because, man, they did an all-nighter to fix this. He's sort of got his hands on the floor and he's looking at the ceiling. He's like, oh, well, I wouldn't say that your mission is entirely complete just yet. Would you?
M1A kind of slowly looks up at Woodlig, and they're you can see they're pixelated, but they're definitely tears that are coming out. And they look up at Cody, who is kind of there. They look really concerned for their friend, but they also look like they don't know what to say or do to reassure them. So they're just kind of hovering nearby, trying to be as calm as they can. And when a looks back at Woodlake and says, This is I am sentry. I keep the sprockets in line. I keep them safe, and I keep them well looked after, and
well, there you see. You have a great deal more to do to especially fulfill the second part of that definition with the keeping safe, because we've still got to figure out. You see, it is no good solving a problem if the problem is just going to repeat itself. And as we have had a small conversation with your friend Cody here, I mean, COD3E, I forget. As it's the cause of the problem appears to have been the Great Machine. So if you are returning him to the Great Machine, this could all happen again, and then you would just be wasting time, and that would be terribly, just inefficient. We can't be inefficient. But if we just stay here for a while and talk things out, we might be able to learn more about the situation. It is no good saying that we have finished the mission when we clearly haven't. Besides, look at his eye. We haven't fixed that yet. We've got lots to do.
And M1A looks over at Cody and back at Woodlake, and they, much like you, Woodlake, they look very tired. But what you've said, they kind of try and wipe away their tears, but their fingers just kind of clink against their helmet a bit. And
my heart.
And they go, I cannot return home to the Great Machine if Cody remains in danger.
I think Woodlake just nods at that.
They seem to accept this, but if Woodlake wants to make an insight.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I love doing an insight roll. Oh, for God's sake, that's a nat one. That's a critical fail. He ain't got a shit clue.
Does engineer maybe want to see?
Yeah, let's see if engineer has better insight. It's hard to do worse. A 23.
Oh my God.
A 23. Oh, thank goodness. The guy with the character development arc has got it. Okay.
The engineer, you are looking at this little UFO on the floor, and you can pick up that while they say that they cannot return home, and they seem to be convinced that it's the right thing as long as their friend is in danger, you can see almost certainly that there is a look of disappointment and you think homesickness.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. I think he's going to get. He still doesn't know about the no touchy, so Cody gets a sort of a clanky pat on top of them. Not too hard, because like they just got better. But
Yeah.
he's still fairly heavy-handed, so whoops. But he walks over
Cody,
to. Oh, sorry, Cody.
did you walk over to Cody or M1A?
He was going to go over to Mia, as he's decided to call it, and says,
yeah.
"Well, we're not saying that you can't go home. It sounds like you've got problems there that may need solving, but this may not be the right time. And as far as I'm concerned, home is where the heart is, and it looks like yours is has just arrived. So it would seem a bit silly to leave it, wouldn't it?"
M1A looks up at the engineer and they kind of they look between engineer and Cody and they kind of rest a hand on the engineer's own claw and they kind of sigh. Mere sparks are we.
I'm gonna teach you about unionization, but after we've all had a good long nap, alright?
And M1A kind of like M1A is a bit too tired to really respond to that, but Cody looks over at the engineer and says, query, what is a union?
Alright, but like your better definitions, go on. Ah, yes, well, unionization is the process of gathering enough people, that is to say workers or tradesmen of some variety, to form a labor union. A union is a sort of, and I think he's just gonna go on lecturing,
yeah.
like, he's just doing it now.
Yeah. And do you think that's maybe a good place to kind of slowly zoom out?
Yeah. Oh boy, they can all fall asleep to Woodling's lecture and get a good piece of 8-hour long rest shut eye, I think. Wow, that was a good fun game. Oh, I have so many emotions about these little friends. Oh.
I was I was very nervous about this because I knew all the backstory, but I wasn't sure how I was gonna like convey it or say it or
You did amazing. I mean, like, you gotta trust the stories, man. They will just do it regardless of what you have to say about the fact. But I'm relieved because I was worried about making the problem worse, especially when I exploded your alien. But with the 25, I figured that it was supposed to happen, so thank you.
Yeah, don't worry. It was
can't get over that nat 20. That is a good place to have a nat 20.
That's a great place to have a nat 20.
Thank you, Lalu. Lady Luck looking out for me. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for also letting engineer be a part of this, because like I mean I guess it was plot relevant, which is useful.
It was,
but also gave me a break from Woodling's accent, which was much needed. So that's great. Thank you.
No, absolutely. Like I was actually so excited to have the engineer here, so I was more than happy. But for now, I am going to stop the recording.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone for listening to this game.
Yeah.
And we'll see you time.
Goodbye. Thank you for letting me play. It was great. Yeah.